Hi, I'm Karen Palcho of Palcho's Products. I am here to share my love of weeds with you. I offer classes in weed walks and foraging regularly, and also in making lotions and potions and in fermentation. I'll give you information about my website later. But here today, I'm in Berks County, Pennsylvania. It's mid-April. It's sunny and breezy. And I would like to tell you about some of my favorite weeds. Why weeds? Well, weeds are prolific. They're all over the place. The ones that I share with you are probably growing in your very own yard. They're very common, very easy to identify, and also very, very safe. They're incredibly delicious and nutritious. Many of them have super valuable medicinal properties. And the most important thing is that they're not prone to overharvesting. Right now we have an epidemic of people out in the woods foraging. They call it foraging. It's stealing, it's poaching, and it's theft, whether it's on private property or in parks. People find out about these amazing mushrooms or plants and they go find them and take them all. It's completely irresponsible and destructive. But you can take all of the dandelions in the US and you're not going to hurt the population. So that's why weeds. Today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite weeds called chickweed. So today's plant is chickweed, Stellaria medea. It's growing right next to my compost bin because it does love moist, rich, fertile soil. And this is the side of my yard, and I'm just going to zoom in and settle in to tell you about our little star lady chickweed. Chickweed grows all over the world, and it grows all over Berks County. It probably grows all over your yard. It's in here with some dandelion, as well as some purple nettle over here, dead purple nettle. Chickweed is in the carnation family, otherwise known as the pink family, and the plant is most famous for cooling, soothing energy, for being a great nutritious food, a medicinal joint oiler, a weight loss tool, and it's grass. That means, in an acronym, generally considered as safe. The identification of the plant is when it's flowering, and the reason for its name, Stellaria, which means star or star in the midst, is a 5-petaled flower that appears to be 10 petals because the petals are so deeply divided. Inside you can see the pairs of opposite leaves, and let's see, you can see your opposite leaves here growing apart from one another. They're very, very fine hairs on the stalk of the stem, or I should say the stem. And in general, you've got a very lush, very thick mat of very dense greenery and leaves. And once it starts to flower and the heat of the late spring comes on, instead of being quite so lush, it can get very dry and scraggly. It can be used and eaten all year round, and at my house here in Ole, Pennsylvania, it does grow year round. There are several varieties of chickweed. You can look them up on your own. This is the one that's the most useful and delicious. I did want to point out one look-alike, which is called Veronica or Speedwell. It grows nearby. Its flowers are blue and white, where chickweed is pure white. Veronica is completely non-toxic. If you ate it, nothing would happen, but it is a different plant. So I'm going to tell you a couple of the uses. The single best use of all is as a salad green. You just pick the greens, and at this point, you can eat the stem, but I might strip off the thicker, more lush leaves. They're just incredibly tender. You know, sometimes I'm just going to eat this. Um, this plant crunching business gets a little hard on the gut because they can be very fibrous, but the chickweed is just very, very tender and delicious. So the best and easiest use is as simple as a salad green. Now, medically, you can make a tincture, which is an alcohol extract, and I will have a recipe for that on my website. But it cools fever, infection, inflammation, and especially hot fevers, chest conditions. And in this case, you, as I say, take it as a tea or a tincture. As a poultice, which means when you make a poultice, you're essentially squeezing and just bringing the fluid and juice of the flower. Okay, already it's coming out. You just squeeze it until it turns soft and wet. It's completely wet. I don't know if you can see my hands. And this could be applied directly to any skinned wound, abrasion, insect bite. It's considered at nature's pharmacy. This could also be placed in a clean piece of gauze and applied directly to your eyes as a eye wash and a soother of irritation, styes, pink eye, and things like that. This is a little unbelievable, but it is famous, and Susan Weed, one of my mentors, calls it an herbal diet pill. And by the way, you can weed the heck out of it. That's the amazing things about weeds. You can't kill them. It's famous, according to Susan Weed, as an herbal diet pill. And it's taken for that as a tea, a tincture, or as fresh. The reason is that it's full of saponins. Saponins, sapon is the French word for soap. Saponins are slippery substances inside the plant. What they do is they dissolve fat cells, and supposedly help remove fat from the body. Please look into this with more detail. Susan Weed, who will be referenced later, is quite an advocate of this. Finally, it's known as a joint oiler, an oil, a mobility increaser for joints. My hands, after decades of pottery and like so many of this garden work and everything else that we do, are just turning into painfully distorted arthritic joints. So I'm really excited about starting to perceive our stellaria as a way of helping me with my arthritis. The same thing, for uses as a help for arthritic joints, you can eat a lot of the fresh herb. You can use it as a tea. I'm tincturing it because it's much more potent and easier to take. You can only drink so much tea. You can only eat so much salad. But a tincture is very, very concentrated and very absorbable. So chickweed is really famous for helping mobility and inflammation in stiff joints. You can also use it as a tea in the bath. That is, you would prepare a couple quarts of tea and then put it into your bath and simply soak in it. You can also make a salve. Again, I offer classes in salve making and tincture making and all kinds of things like this. I should mention that it's a wonderful pesto. You can use it to make pesto. Take your favorite pesto recipe with cheese or without cheese and simply substitute the chickweed for the basil. Maybe you add some mint. Maybe you add some dandelion greens. And finally, I don't have chickens these days, but chickweed is a wonderful food for chickens, and which is where I think that common name comes from, and in particular for laying hens. So that's all the information I have right now. I'm Karen Palcho with Palcho's Products at www.palchosproducts.com. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoy the chickweed. Bye-bye.